Welcome to Real Lives Touched by Addiction with your hosts, Jen McCutcheon, Luke Loughlin, Lainne Love, and Sandra Murray. This 6-part series exists to bring truth, compassion, and real solutions to conversations around addiction that families, communities, and systems have avoided for far too long. Addiction isn't just an individual struggle. It's a family, community, and generational issue, and too many people are navigating it in silence, feeling overwhelmed and alone. Through real stories, lived experience, trauma-informed insight, and evidence-based framework, we're exploring the most misunderstood truths about addiction and family healing. And you're invited to join us. Listen, reflect, and take small but powerful steps towards real healing and change. So, let us begin. Welcome to Real Lives Touched by Addiction podcast series. We are the Beautiful Four. We are here with Real Lives Touched by Addiction. This is a 6-part series dedicated to bringing truth, compassion, and solutions to the conversation for families, communities, and systems that have been avoided for far too long. Addiction is not just an individual struggle. It's a family issue, a community issue, a generational issue, and a human issue. Yet most people are navigating this in silence, confused, overwhelmed, ashamed, and alone. So this 6-part series is to break the cycle through real stories, real lives, trauma-informed insight, evidence-based frameworks. We're exploring the most misunderstood, most emotionally charged, and most transformative topics connected to addiction and family healing. So we're going to be exploring new perspectives, like simple frameworks, practical tools, tangible action steps, and a lot of reflection just to deepen awareness. Because we know that change doesn't happen through information alone. It happens through understanding, it happens through compassion, courage, and taking aligned action. So this is a space where stigma dissolves, where truth brings clarity, where empathy leads healing, and where families rise, where real recovery begins. So you're invited to join and be part of this movement, to listen, to learn, to reflect, and just take small but powerful steps that create a ripple of change in your own life, your family, and your community. So welcome, and let's begin. So today's first part series, we're going to be diving into, is addiction a disease? What is addiction? Is it a disease? So I'm going to just start by saying my name is Jen McCutcheon. I am a spiritual recovery, family recovery, trauma healing coach, and spiritual wellness facilitator and practitioner. I work with families touched by addiction. I am a mama of a child touched by addiction. Both my first and second husbands were struggled with mental health and addiction. So I've loved my loved ones for over 25 years in addiction. And I too have struggled with my own addiction challenges, mental health struggles, and lived experience. So I come with both my lived experience and professional experience. And I'm so honored to just be part of this incredible leadership with Real Lives Touched by Addiction, with Reverend Lainne Love, with Luke Loughlin and Sandra Murray, and I'm going to pass it over to each of you just to share a little bit about yourself before we dive in so our listeners know who we are and how we got here.
Luke, take it away.
No, you go first. Hey everybody, my name is Luke Loughlin. I am a addict alcoholic in recovery. I'm currently sober right now. I'm a beloved son, brother, uncle, somebody who has started a recovery paint company, also works with youth. I'm a peer support for youth. Actually, just didn't tell you guys, I just got another little job with a youth DBT team for addiction.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool. So I'll be a peer support with that place too. And I spend a lot of my spare time just being of service, helping others, trying to carry the message to the next suffering person on this journey, and whatever opportunities have come out of it that have led me into a place of working in this field is kind of come out from just trying to be of service to the world. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's amazing, Luke. Congratulations. So
Yeah.
excited for
Yeah.
you.
Yay.
And for all the beautiful souls that you're going to touch in that work because you have so much wisdom, you have so much lived experience, and you're going to help so many people. Amazing. Sandra, do you want to take it over?
Sure. I am Sandra. I have been touched by addiction. I'm an angel mom. I lost my son to addiction, but I am blessed because a number of years ago, my son and I started a YouTube channel so that we could share our experiences because we realized right away there was such a stigma and it was so challenging, and you could see that you were treated differently. And we always said, saying nothing means it's okay. And in our world, it wasn't okay. And that's why we started our journey together in sharing our experience, strength, hope. And I am here to continue what we started. And Luke, I think you're amazing and you're a miracle. And, uh, we've talked about this before. It's being of service because the stigma is so strong, and many people associate addicts with those people on the streets. Well, those people, when they recover, they could be someone that helps your loved one to recover. And I know we've talked about it, Luke, and that's why I'm here to continue sharing and sharing my experience and what worked for me over the years and what didn't work for me over the years. And I've always said, where there is breath, there is hope. With my son, there's no longer breath, but I am breathing for him, and I believe there is hope and there is life after death.
Mhm.
And that's my story in a little job. I'm
Mm.
glad to be here and a part of this amazing group.
Thank you,
Thank
Sandra.
you.
Yes, and you are the extension of Ben's hope that he walked on this earth with, and you're just continuing
Mhm.
to carry that and express that to the world. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And I am Reverend Lainne Love, and I am here in this beautiful foursome in honor of my brother Kale, who passed of an overdose. And, I wasn't really present for his life. We were really estranged as a result of what my family dynamics are and were. And there's still something I can do. Even though he has passed, I can still do something. I can still remember him. I can still stand for him in a way that I just never imagined. And I can create change within myself and within my family so that that heals, what is in our lineage and bring forth a new legacy. And I bring my work and my education and my wisdom in alternative health and spirituality. And I have the great fortune of having two best-selling books, one with Jen, and I've won an award. So those are sort of my credentials. But really, what matters is just that I'm a person and I have a brother who passed away, and I'm here to do the best that I can and make a contribution to the world.
Mm.
And amen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lainey. Yeah, thank you so much. Powerful, powerful stories. Each of us have a story, we're real lives touched by addiction, which is why we named ourselves that, because we are here as expressions of oneness of all beings who are experiencing mental health and addiction challenges from one degree or another. There is a spectrum of what people are experiencing, and I believe we are all experiencing these challenges just in different levels, different degrees, and different types of experiences. So the more that we can have these real conversations and just talk about what we are actually experiencing through breaking the silence, we can bring solutions and hope for individuals that are impacted by mental health addictions or any health challenges because it's really all related. So, yeah, so thank you for each of you sharing just a little bit about yourself. And now we're going to just jump right in because this is what we're doing here. We want to get to the good stuff too about really talking about our topic, our theme tonight, which is what is addiction? Is addiction a disease? This is a hot conversation because there is a lot
Yeah.
of whoa, like things can get pretty heated over this conversation. And we are here too because we all have our own perspectives, our own relative truths, and our own understanding of addiction. So let's dive in. What do you believe addiction is?
Mm.
Who wants to go first?
I believe, I believe. It's such a great question because at the beginning of my journey with my son many years ago, I thought of addiction as a choice. And it wasn't until I started learning more about what addiction is, et cetera, et cetera. I now believe it is a disease. It is a disease of the brain. It affects the brain. And I believe it's a treatable disease. I believe that it is not a moral failing, which many people think it is. It's a chronic disease, but there is hope. There is recovery. And with recovery, at times relapse happens. But I believe that it's a disease that can be treated. And it is a tough one because I also believe it's the person that's using it's their choice as to whether they want treatment. And I compare it to any other disease, like cancer, for instance. There is treatments, and some people choose not to have the treatments. And with cancer, there's remission. With addiction, there's relapse. And one of the things that I find interesting with addiction, with cancer, they don't blame the patient when they go into remission, when it comes back. They go into remission and it may come back. They don't blame the person that has the disease. But with addiction, when the person relapses, it's the only disease that they blame the patient for the relapse. Um, I think it's the brain. And it's really tough because it really changes their behaviors. And it's not because they don't want the help. I think that their brain gets hijacked and it takes over. And that's what they need. They have to have it or they're going to die. Um, and somebody said once that it's like having an allergy, whether it's to alcohol or to the drugs. And I find that interesting because why is it that somebody could have one drink and not become addicted? But then you have another person that may have one drink and all of a sudden they can't stop. They feel good. And yes, there's trauma and all that, but I'm looking at it as how the body reacts to the alcohol or the drug. I don't know if I went off on a tangent there, but I believe it's a disease.
Okay.
I'd
Thank
love
you.
to hear what you guys
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing. And that's
Yeah.
that's, your experience, that's your understanding, and we all are coming at it from our own lived experience and our own belief systems. And I know for me, like what I believed addiction to be well, 25 years ago, when my first husband started his journey with addiction, I had no idea what it was. I believed it was a choice. I did believe
Mhm.
it was a choice, and I've come a long way from those initial belief systems. But and it was really my journey of my own struggles that helped me understand my belief of what addiction is, witnessing my son struggle with addiction and mental health, that really, and my own healing, different modalities of healing, sitting with plant medicine, that really helped me to understand. And I was shown, personally, I was shown this perspective and this understanding, not even a perspective, just a knowing. It was just this knowing. But I really believe that addiction is not a choice. It is absolutely not a choice. And it's not simply a disease either. I think that it is a complex response to unhealed trauma. It's inherited patterns. It's also our programming. So the programming that we receive here on Earth, but also we are also inherited with programming through our epigenetics and through our DNA. It's a complexity of suppressed emotions. And I believe that addiction is really a separation from who we truly are. And mental health struggles, our chronic diseases and stresses, physical illness are all expressions of this unresolved pain, whether it's ours, my unresolved pain, or it is inherited unresolved pain that I have carried over from ancestors. So I feel that it's really because of the Western culture and the way that we treat addiction here. We treat not the cause, we treat the effect. We treat our system treats the physical effect of the unresolved trauma, but we don't actually look at the root cause. And I feel we're starting to change and we're starting to like look deeper, but this is a system that is so ingrained in this one narrative that is, I believe, keeping people perpetuating in these cycles of unhealed trauma, and it's keeping us stuck. So the more that we can take back our power, because I believe when we label it as a disease, and I believe there is a point where with enough substance use, prolonged trauma, we're starting to change the chemistry of our brain. So then it can lead into these types of things. But I also believe we can heal. Our bodies are constantly generating new cells. Like the fact that brain, I know there is brain injury, but we can heal. Our cells are constantly repairing. So there's always hope. So I believe addiction, there's different lenses to look through it from. I don't believe that addiction is a life sentence. I've witnessed people who have been in active addiction that you would never think would come back from it, have restored their lives and are living healthy, happy lives. And I believe that's available to each and every person. And I also believe that we also have a mission that our souls come here for. And there are some souls, and their mission is this is deep. This is an understanding of mine that some souls are meant to remain in addiction as um, souls that are here to activate others' awarenesses, to activate other souls to awaken to a deeper level of understanding. So there's a big wide spectrum of what's happening and what addiction is. And I don't really know that I have the answer of exactly what it is, but that is my understanding. And I believe that for me, this empowers me to be able to heal myself, to overcome the challenges that I've faced and believe and know that there is possibility for healing and recovery for my son, for my loved ones, or for anybody that's struggling with addiction. That they are not powerless. I am not powerless. I'm powerful in creating healing and change.
Awesome. So addiction, is it an addiction or not sorry, is it
Is
a
it a
disease or
disease? Yeah,
not
I
a
was just going to
disease?
say that. Do you believe it's a disease or
I don't believe it's a disease.
Okay,
I
we
okay?
don't.
got one and
Okay.
then, okay, Luke, you
Okay.
weigh in.
Um, yeah, so I'm going to talk from my experience. My, good 15 years of from when I first put alcohol into my body and other substances up until where it went. I believe it is a disease, but I'm also in this place of like, whether it's a disease or not, do you feel you have a problem that you have no control over? Because then we might have to start taking some steps to do things to help with it. But a disease, it's like a dysfunction of the body, mind. inside, which will show consistent signs of symptoms, and then also causes our body or mind, whatever it is, harm. And so if I look at, I made a choice when I was 13 years old to drink a bottle of Vex. I loved the effect it gave me, and I wanted to do it again. And so for a long time, it was, drinking and doing drugs with fun, then with a couple problems here and there, then with a little more problems, then more problems. And then that was left to, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. And the next day I'm doing it again, promising my mom while she's crying, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to get help. To going and buying a bag of drugs that same night, to continue into doing it. So my belief is that it's a progressive disease that does need to get treated. And one thing, it's funny we're having this conversation right now because there's a guy I know who has tried getting sober many times and has kind of stepped away from a lot of people who have a solution for him, but he believes that he has stronger power over this and that he's going to do it on his own. And we just got a call from his wife that he is in the hospital with cirrhosis of the liver. Um, so yeah, it's how we're having this conversation right now. He's a good buddy of mine as well that I've known for the past 5 years. And so the question comes to, if it's not a disease, something that needs to be treated in a certain way, why could I never have just stopped? Because I know people who've had the exact same sexual abuse trauma that I've gone through, that they can have a beer and it's a Leaf game. They can rip a little line of cocaine on the weekend and go to work on Monday, and it doesn't affect them. Same trauma I had, pretty much, but they're not dependent on alcohol or drugs or anything like that. So I believe trauma's got a big thing to this, trying to ease the pain of something, but I believe there's a missing part, and one way of recovery is not for all, but one thing I can give credit to in a 12-step program was, while people in addiction were getting locked up in asylums and getting lobotomies done to them and pretty much tortured in these places because they're like, why can't this guy get it? We keep arresting him for public intoxication, and he's doing the exact same thing the next night. Like, how are we going to fix this? I don't know if anybody's heard of this guy's name, but his name's Dr. William Silkworth, which tried to treat alcoholics and addicts for many years at Towns Hospital in Akron, Ohio. And he says in a letter, he says, try staying on the firing lines with all the wives, the children, the family members that are so brokenhearted. Why can't our family member, get it together? Why can't they stop doing this? They have so much to live for. And it wasn't until a guy named Bill Wilson that came along. There's other steps to it, but he ended up getting this program, the 12 steps that generate off of other things. And one of the biggest thing was admitting that we were powerless over our disease. Like, it was like, I'm powerless over alcohol. Like, I did. Like, I can't do this on my own. And that worked into a program of action of digging deep and going into our insides and our resentments and stuff like that. And then after that, it was all about being of service to other people and connecting to some sort of source, some sort of higher power, some sort of God. They call it a spiritual malady. Alcohol is called spirits. Dr. Carl Jung talked about this, that, I was drinking to fulfill that spirit, but once I start drinking, I can't stop. And the reason why I believe that it is this disease is because I have firsthand experience of a relapse after 3.5 years. I was drinking to the exact extent from where I left off when I got sober back in 2019. I didn't just go have a couple beers and, oh, hey, that was it. I was right to the horses like that. So I feel like if it's not a disease, and it's not a disease of the mind, I should be able to get to a place where I'm healed enough where I can go and enjoy a beer with my dad and watch the Leaf game.
Mm.
But I will not risk that because when I put alcohol in my body or drug in my body, I'll rob my own mother. And I will, who knows where Luke's gonna end up. And so it comes again to the point when I have this back and forth with somebody, is it a disease? Is it not? Really, I don't care. I just know that if
Mm.
I don't work a program of action, whether it's a 12-step program, therapy, whatever recovery program we're going to work,
Yeah.
if I don't work it, it's going to work me and I'm going to be back to where I was. So I believe it's a disease, but I won't get into big, deep debates and argue over people about it because I just know what I need to do every day to not pick up a drink or a drug again in my life. And that's what I got, ladies.
Love
Good.
Amen.
it.
Well said.
It's really well rounded.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
pick up just where you left off, Luke, in that going, zooming out, because I don't think it actually matters if it's a disease or not, because exactly that, there are steps and choices involved, and there are the bigger picture things. Jen touched on it a little bit, in that we are way more interesting, dynamic beings than just like these everyday human lives that we have. Our souls are eternal from my belief system and experience. That's the way that it is, and we're bringing in so many other aspects into this incarnation, whether we're coming in to heal a lineage, or we're coming in here to heal some karma, or even just to have an experience. Who knows, right? So that's something that I just think that we need to talk about more. Like it just make the picture bigger
Mm.
than this.
Mhm.
Relatively, it seems like a tremendous problem because it is in our everyday lives, whatever that problem is. Right now, we're talking about addiction, but like, let's just zoom out a little bit and get a little bit curious and maybe even a little bit playful so that we can start to have just a little bit of a different perspective. But then
Mhm.
bringing in again that spirit, exactly why are we seeking really outside of ourselves to bring ourselves into a different or altered state? What is that well or that hole that we're trying to fill or that well that we're trying to draw from? And bringing like 12 steps into it, that's creating like a framework, and a spiritual connection, because I know you talk about like there's bigger, there's God in there. There's the universe. So like shifting your focus from a substance back into the divine and creating, reestablishing that connection through practice. And then you can go back into, of course, we're in a human body. So what's the mechanism of the body that then has us react to the substance? And that's a real thing for sure, right? Coming off of certain substances can be really, really dangerous. And it isn't, but that doesn't make it a disease, right? It doesn't make it a disease just because it's difficult to come off of something, or because that substance has altered our body. It doesn't make it a disease. It still makes it tremendously difficult and life threatening and life altering, but it doesn't need to be a disease. You move into that definition of epigenetics. So it's just the science of like that shows us how our environment and our perceptions control our gene expression, meaning that we have control over, well, somewhat control over which genes or how they're expressed based on our beliefs and our environment. So if you're growing up in an environment surrounded by multi-generational alcoholics, then your likelihood of expressing that gene goes higher.
Mhm.
Right. So there's just like there's so many cool different perspectives that we can take. We can take the spiritual perspective, we can take the human mechanism perspective and how your body is actually reacting to that. And then we can just like even just question, why do we need to say it's an addiction or not? And I just think that that's worth asking, because I think there's a tendency for us human beings to make ourselves smaller and give our power away, and diminish ourselves in a way by saying, well, it's addiction, it's an addiction. Then in some ways, we're quietly excusing a part of ourselves. We're quietly giving ourselves an excuse for why something is happening, maybe to my family member, maybe to myself. And I think that that's definitely worth exploring. So that is like where I sit, is just ask more questions, get a little bit curious about the need. Does it need to be a disease or not a disease? What's there for me? To me, it's not a disease, but it doesn't mean that it's not devastating or difficult, or seemingly impossible. Yeah.
So the original question, is it a disease or not? So it seems like I think we're all in agreement. It doesn't matter whether it's a disease or not. It is an addiction. It is a problem. It can be devastating. But if we were to take a vote, there's two and two. So 50-50.
Let's
So I
go.
think, put up your boots. Come on, Luke, we got them. So it's interesting because I agree with what everyone is saying, that it really doesn't matter whether it is or not.
Yeah.
Maybe it matters in the health system because it isn't treated like any other disease. And I want to throw that in there. So maybe labeling it as a disease so that we can get the help that we need in the health system. Would that be helpful? So I'm
That's a
just
good question.
That's a whole
That's a
other
I
can of
know,
worms
I know. I'm
talking
just
about
throwing
the
it out
health
there.
system.
yeah.
Don't drag that
Oh,
conversation
hey,
into this
shut her down.
one.
Because I think there's so many, like you said, there's so many levels and our
Yeah,
spiritual journey, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, we can get really deep. And, Jen, you were saying that maybe some people are meant to be in addiction for their whole life. Or maybe like my son and your brother, maybe
Yeah.
they were meant to pass away to this addiction, this illness. And I'm a very spiritual, so I definitely see the divinity of losing my son because I believe that he lived his life and he made a difference. But that's, again, is a whole nother thing. I just wanted to wrap this part and say two for two, two against two. And really, does it matter?
it doesn't. It doesn't to me, but it probably does to some people, and that's okay too.
Right.
But if it does really matter, I just invite you to ask yourself why. Like what's there for you? Why does it really matter?
Yeah.
Health
Well,
system.
I just want to bring one thing up too, like with it too, because I'm speaking from I'm also speaking from a place of living it, right? Like the alcohol, the drugs, and like here's the thing we got, like I always think about, and I see this played out so much. Like when like I'm on the front lines all week long. Like I'm talking, I was in a detox center the other day and there was 24 people in there. By January something, probably six of those people are gonna be dead.
Mhm.
And I was talking to a guy in there that he still has great ideas about beating this thing. And what's heartbreaking is like you're gonna walk right into death. Like like that guy can't see where he is that day. Like
Yeah.
he is hooked on alcohol and drugs, but still in his mind thinks that he's gonna beat this on his own. He's got nowhere to go, too. And so if I sit there and tell that guy, man, you have the power. You can beat this on your own. He's gonna think he can. And in the shape he's in, he's probably going to die. He needs help. He needs community. He needs some people to show him what they did. or to at least be open to hearing that. And so that's where I know for me, it's a crazy game to play sometimes because our my mind used to always tell me I was fine. I was okay, even though I just burnt my life down last weekend. Okay, it's not that bad. So that's what I mean from my perspective, the disease of the mind.
Yeah.
Like it's this thinking that like thinks that I'm gonna be okay when it's like take a step back and look at your life. No, you are not okay. Like you need help. And so that's where I think, yeah, it doesn't matter. I need to do something, but it's I got to be careful with when I talk to these people who are in those states and in detoxes and stuff. If I give them the like, hey man, this is all a fraud. This isn't a, you don't have a problem like they're saying you do, and you know, it's not a disease and stuff like that. Joe's gonna walk out that door thinking he's a superpower and has all the willpower in the world to get sober, and more than likely he's gonna end up dead. And it's an experience I see over and over again, ladies. Like I man,
Hmm.
the past 2 years, I probably like 20 people dead, you know, and it's so I am a little passionate about it in my experience that yeah, what keeps me going is the fact that in my head, if I stop doing what I'm doing, there's a chance that I will go back to the way I was. And I did experience it. So if it's not a disease, I also would love what's the other word for it? What is it?
I think you touched on so many things, Luke, and I
Hmm.
hear you. Like I hear you.
Mm,
I mean,
100%.
I get it not from like a lived experience of being addicted to substance. I also know like there's this whole chemistry thing that's going on. I mean, you're putting substance into your body, you're changing the chemistry. There's
mm,
so much going on and I'm not arguing with you. I believe whatever you believe is what you believe and that's where you are. And there's not really a right or wrong here, guys. Like there really isn't. It's like what works for you. And I agree with you. I'm not saying just because I believe it's not a disease that it doesn't need treatment, right?
mm.
Like there's support, there's help that individuals need. And that's the point though of for me is like we have to meet people where they are and offer solutions based on where they are
Yeah.
and have a like I always joke like I'd love to see like walking down a grocery store the amount of different kinds of cereal options I'd like to see that for options as far
Mm,
as what's available for people to find healing and recovery and support and opportunities but the real struggle is we can't reach everybody and it's not that
yeah.
they don't want help it's that they're separated from their inner desire. That's what they want help. Like I don't believe that there isn't anybody that's in addiction that doesn't truly want help. They just can't access that desire within themselves because substance has distorted their chemistry,
Mhm.
that substance has distorted their belief systems. They can't even tap in to their inner truth and their inner knowing. And that is what Gabor Mate talks about is the separation of the authentic self, which is the divinity, that is the divine self.
Mhm.
And that in itself, whether you want to call it a disease or a separation from truth, it's it's this distortion. It's the distortion in the mind that believes that they're powerless to and they can't access the truth that they are able to overcome. Because I also hear and listen, I know if you know what you believe, that's what you create. It's the cause and the effect. So if for people that say I'm not going to debate, if like I love you, Luke, I support you. You say I'm a recovering addict.
Mhm,
Like amen, brother. Like you're here. I love you and keep doing what you're doing because it's working. And and this evolution is going to continue. Like you're here. You're doing amazing work. And then there may be somebody else that says, I don't relate to being an addict. I'm
mm,
not in recovery. Some people say I'm not even in recovery. I'm not in recovery. I'm just living,
mm, mm.
choosing me
Yeah,
each and every day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Hallelujah. And so it is. So it's I believe people need treatment. Don't get me wrong. And yeah, there's times that labels are supportive in our healthcare system, which really is not a health, it's a sick care system. It gets us opens up some pathways and some doors that we wouldn't have. Like my son had to fight like hell to have, diagnoses so that he could get help.
Yeah.
But that help only kept him in a system of being over medicated and that caused more challenges. So I mean, it's
Mm.
all moving parts and there is
Yeah.
no right or wrong. And I just want to clarify that because by saying it's not a disease doesn't mean that people don't need help and doesn't mean we say, dude, you're fine. Like just stop
Yeah.
thinking it. Like that's not it either. Like we need to meet people where they are and
Yes.
provide solutions that open up an opportunity for them to find something that works, that
Yeah.
starts to move them down that path to closing the gap and coming back to who they truly are. To slowly remove the substance. This is another whole topic of harm reduction, whether it's right, whether it's not right. I mean, it's a stepping stone, and this is such a huge conversation. And
We just got nine
we're gonna
other
have to do another
podcasts
six-part
Yeah,
series
after
on
we're
this.
not
this.
going to go down that route.
I do
It
want to say
sounds like
something though.
the
Oh,
problem or the challenge here is really just with the definition of
Yeah,
disease.
yeah.
It's just like,
Mm.
is it disease like a lack of ease, or is it that people need to call it a disease because of the weight that sometimes that word is given to be taken more seriously? Or is it that they need to call it a disease because people sometimes hide behind not taking responsibility? I don't want to take
Absolutely.
responsibility, so I
Yep.
want to say, oh, it's a disease. So I think that's actually the real conversation.
Yeah.
I agree that addiction, all three apply to that,
Yeah.
to all three of those different definitions of disease.
um,
Yeah.
I looked up what is
Yeah.
a simple definition of disease, and it says a condition of the living animal or plant body or of one of the parts that impairs normal functioning and is typically manifested by distinguishing signs and symptoms, sickness, malady, infectious diseases, a rare genetic disease. So that's pretty broad. But I just want to
Yeah.
say to something that you said earlier, Luke, about your friend and him not seeing where he's at. That really struck me to my core because I think that is a really big piece. So if we have to call it disease, we should, because what you were describing, I just had this vision of my son when he was deep in his addiction. He would lost so much weight. He was living on the streets. He was at the lowest that I've ever seen. And he said, I'm fine. There's people that are worse off than me. And it is their distortion of where they're at. And so I have to agree that if you don't call it something serious, and not that I'm trying to put labels and it has to be a disease, but there is something going on with the brain. And I believe with my son, by the end, it had a long-term effect on him. And I think that's why things happened the way they happened. So it's really important to see that perspective that you're sharing, Luke, because I saw it with my son, and they truly believe, like he truly believed he was okay. But I could see he wasn't eating, he wasn't sleeping, he was at death's door. Like it was bad. So it's just a great reminder that we all have different levels of experiences with this, what I'm going to call a disease. I know half of us aren't, but I think in I'm going to conclude my thought here. I believe it's important to call it a disease because I believe that it would help in the health system to get the help that he needs. I agree, Jen, with what you're saying. We have to meet them where they are and that they are always medicating. Well, the last few months of my son's life, he was in the hospital twice and he spent a month each time. And it was always about the medication. It's beyond the medication. It's like
It's
looking
like,
at it
is the health
as,
system the right place? Like you're
yeah.
pushing the health system, and then it's a different conversation, and
Yeah,
we'll shut it
totally. And I'm
down.
not trying to
But
go
it's
there,
like
but I
if
think
we're
that,
calling a disease, then we're also inviting more of that, more of the care that's not actually the care or the interventions that actually aren't getting back to that root cause and actually helping um, people experiencing addiction to actually heal because it's actually not the right system that is going to provide the healing to the body and heart and soul of the people experiencing all the effects of addiction. So that's another
I,
big different topic, but that's another argument for me as to like why it's not. I don't think it's a disease. Maybe if it is, it's more of like the spirit, but I think it is interesting that we can have so many different like meanings behind what disease is. And
yeah.
I think that really it's just a passion that I'm seeing from everybody
Yeah.
about finding solutions and taking it seriously, like letting all of the voices actually be heard. I really feel that from you, Sandra, is like, but I just want somebody to hear me. So I want to, doesn't matter what it's called, but I just want to be heard and I want something to be
Right.
done.
The
And
bottom
I think
line.
that we do that all together and we look for examples that exist. Like where in the world are they dealing with addiction? And what are they doing that's working? Because there are examples of that. And what is that structure that they're providing? And it's not a hospital.
Yeah.
And it's not medical intervention. Not to say that sometimes it's not necessary. Again, we're going back to like that we're changing the chemistry of the
Because
body,
it's,
but it's not focused on that, right? So, oh, I love this. We we
yeah,
talked about so many
so
different
much.
layers,
Yeah.
and everybody's perspective was like really, really valid, and I definitely learned something from everybody. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and thank you everybody for, and this is the conversations. This is what we need to be able to do is to be able to sit around a table, to have these conversations, to have different viewpoints, and be able to hold each and every one of ours truth and just accept each other and be grateful for being able to sit here and have like a genuine conversation, share our feelings with nobody's pissed off, nobody's leaving here on a rant. We're just here to talk and be yeah.
I'd love to hear what the listeners think. If there's a
Yeah,
way to
me
poll
too.
everybody, what do
Yes,
you think, people? You know, I'd
and
love to hear
Sandra,
it.
how do they let us know what their opinions are and how they can share with us their viewpoints and their
Look
perspectives?
in the show notes. We'll let you know where to go, where to reach us, and where to comment.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, thank you everybody for listening to the first episode of this six-part series. We're going to be coming back for part two. We're going to be talking about boundaries. What are they? What aren't they? And how to set them. So make sure you join us for the next episode coming soon. Bye for now.
Hi.
Recording.
We're just adding
Yeah.
on.
You said
Yeah,
you said
okay.
Lainey and Jen.
Yeah, so Lainey, what you're saying, right, about the medical field, I was saying with the disease thing is I know a guy who shares a story about being in 20 rehabs. And it was like $250,000 that he spent just to come out. He said in his story that he could have got a free Alcoholics Anonymous book because now he's been sober in Alcoholics Anonymous for 20 years. So when they coined addiction and alcoholism a disease, the medical field, all these rehab facilities started popping up, and because it was a money maker. So really what we have been talking about, yes, I've had this belief that like has helped me to stay on the course of my recovery, but it also is a big medical term that has made the medical society a lot of money, right? Because you can go to get treated at the medical center and there's really no solution to the root cause. So you just keep coming back, right?
Yeah.
And was the other thing I said, oh yeah, I've never once went to the doctor about my alcohol and drugs problem. Did he say, Luke, have you prayed about that? Have you seen That's all I got, ladies.
Bravo, bravo.
Right?
Thanks for
It's follow
sharing,
the
Luke.
money. Like for anything, it is interesting when you start to follow the money. When you start to notice that it's a growing problem, even though we have access to so much information, so many resources, why is it that this is like becoming a global growing problem and challenge when we have access to all these things? Why? It's always worth asking why and looking if solutions exist, which they do, because there are examples around the world of people that have created really successful programs. Why aren't we implementing those? Why aren't we following the model that actually works? And because it doesn't tie into what you were just talking about, Luke. It doesn't tie into that to the money. Yeah. To the sick care system
Yeah.
and adding more revenue to that. So it is, I think it's just important to think about when you're pursuing your solutions, when you're getting frustrated with not being able to find the right answers, it's maybe those aren't the right channels. And it's gonna be, requiring some research, some community, like what can I do? Not leaning in on the things that we think that we should be able to because it's part of our healthcare system, but leaning into actual solutions and examples that are working for people like AA. I mean, AA is how old?
And it's like 80 something,
Yeah.
almost 90.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's worked for many people. It might not work for everybody, but has worked for many people for almost a century. Like there's something there, and again, it is free. So it's not about whether it costs money or it doesn't, but it really is worth really examining when you're seeking your solutions.
Amen.
No, I think that's such a important source of information. I can't get out of my words.
Blah, blah, blah. And on that note, this is also free. Hey.
Hey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's community. It's
Yeah.
community which
Yes. Yeah.
breeds immunity. Community is unity, and it really does breed immunity to a lot of things when you're connected with people, when you're
Yeah.
feeling like you have a support network, and whether it's AA, a community like this, find yourself a community. And there are so many things that are available that are maybe out of your wheelhouse, but where we grow is where we are forced out of that comfort zone. So try something new. That's always, I went through a stage where it was like I became that movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey. It's like he had to say yes to everything.
Yeah.
I claimed that as I became yes woman. I started to say yes to things and try different experience, go to different opportunities that came up just to see. And it opened up my world to all the things that were available that I didn't know existed. So that's another thing, is let yourself explore different opportunities. Even if you think it's not for you, try it. Then you get to decide once you've tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't give it a good solid try.
A good
Because
solid.
I know before I've given it the good, nah, I've tried that, doesn't work. And somebody's like, well, what'd you do? Well, I don't know, I read up on it. Like give it a try.
Well, and I go to Narnon meetings, which is for family members, and we say, give it a good try, come to at least 7 meetings. Try it out. So, yeah, what you said.
Exactly.
You're worth it. Anybody listening to this that's struggling, like you're worth it. You're here for a purpose. You didn't
Amen.
make it to this life accidentally.
You
There's
are
a
worthy.
purpose, and all that pain and suffering can be used for something, but it's not supposed to be forever.
And you're
Exactly.
not alone. You're not alone. We're here.
And If you're a mama or a family member, you can come join Moms on a Mission over here at Enable No More, which is a community for moms or family members that are impacted by a child or loved one's addiction. It's community, it's opportunities to come together and unite and heal and grow. So there's lots out there. And we're going to continue to bring different insights, solutions, perspectives over the next 5 series or five episodes of the six episodes. So we'll see you guys real soon.
Bye again.
Bye again. If this episode moved something within you, please subscribe and leave a rating or review. It helps these conversations reach the hearts of those that need them most. And we also want to invite you to come and connect with us. Our social links are in the show notes. Follow us, come say hi, and share your story. We truly want to hear from you because your story carries wisdom, your voice carries medicine, and your purpose is already unfolding. Until next time, remember, you are not alone. We heal, rise, and recover better together.